A dream always begins as an unknown. You're the first and only person to have seen it. The current reality, as well as your companions, bear no proof that it will ever be realized.
There's going to be plenty of races where you're going to feel you have a stomach ache. Man up. This is the path you picked. This is it.
Everything that you see is the product of someone else's vision and is a reminder of all that must be overcome. The consequences for failure are great. You will work for a person who is living their dream and get paid the wages that they choose.
He knows today, if I don't say this, 20 years down the road when I'm working at 7-Eleven, he's gonna regret not saying it to me.
For Supercross racers, the dream did not begin as a choice, but an impulse. And the resulting obstacles will push you out if your motivation ever shifts from your heart to your mind. For it was never their purpose to make sense of this world, but to recreate it.
Coming to the checkered flag, Ryan Villopoto's done it!
The ones that do make it, bring it to the next level. Learn from watching the Rickies, Stewarts, Villopotos. They catch the idea of what they do, but they come up and they add a little thing of their own, you know?
Supercross is the hardest sport on earth. You're in head-to-toe gear. You get blurred vision. You're on a motorcycle that's 230 pounds running at 60 horsepower.
That aspect, plus maneuvering that motorcycle on changing terrain. Every lap they come around, it's different.
Ruts are getting deeper, bumps are getting bigger. You have 20 other riders on the gate that are going all over the place.
The heart rate, which is your cardio, is really tough. Their heart rates are anaerobic plus. If you just try to count the amount of times they stood up and down on a motorcycle in one lap.
You have to be strong, you have to be stable, you have to be coordinated, you have to be efficient.
There's no let up. Team sport, they hand it over. It's teammates. This sport, you're on your own. The braking, the clutch, changing gears, shifting, timing.
That's why it's the hardest sport on earth.
Pole shot, go to the number one! Come on, let's go, let's go!
As a parent, you will sacrifice your finances, spend your weekends in an RV, afternoons in the dirt, evenings changing oil, and nights separated from your spouse. As a rider, you will train all year, switch to homeschooling at 13, have your fate decided at 18, and pray that you leave the sport still standing.
Specifically, I think about fear of crashing and injury type stuff. And I remember at Phoenix, the last actual race I raced, there was a quad. Somebody on the pro circuit team crashed really, really hard. I got to the track and I was just like, I don't want to jump this. I'm not going to do it.
Every rider deals with it. They fight that demon inside themselves. As much as you want to see the good, there's always that, this could happen, but you started this for fun and you've got to do it for fun. You just go back to that moment when you were in a dirt bike on a grass track, and doing what you love is even more important.
While many choose the path of least resistance, there are a few running in the opposite direction. Those who choose to race will live outside convention in their communities, and very few who set out to reshape the pillars of the sport will succeed. But for some, a goal increases in attraction the more it approaches the impossible.
I like being in something that's really hard. This is really hard to do. You're trying to beat the best people in something. We're still looking for the wins, the person that can come on these bikes for us and get us a championship. We're still looking for that.
With that dirt bike and that sacrifice of the normal life, I feel like my life's been 10 times better than what it could have been. What I learned about marketing and business and relationships, I would have never learned in college. Education first, please graduate high school at least, and then experience life.
Over 17 rounds, the best racers in the world fight for the Monster Energy AMA Supercross, an FIM World Championship between the months of January and May, in stadiums across North America. In 5 CBS Sports Spectaculars over the next 4 months, we will take a look into the lives of the riders, families, and professionals whose fates are determined in this series.
Racing a motorcycle is a drug, and we've tried to talk Jordan out of the sport many times before. We'll buy a boat. Jordan started playing golf, and probably one of the best golf swings I've ever seen. I begged him to give up the motorcycle.
Every time I throw my leg over a dirt bike, I'm focused. You're going out there and hitting 100-foot jumps every lap.
In 2009, Ryan Dungey won his first Supercross title in the 250 class. The following year, he moved up to the Premier class and became the second rider in history to capture the 450 Supercross title as a rookie. Before the 2011 Supercross season, his rival, Ryan Villopoto, began training with Alden Baker and has won the last 3 Supercross championships.
Ryan puts too much pressure on himself, but just increasing the pressure is not going to change it. He needs to do something different to beat Villopoto. But I prefer to discuss that just with him.
Perfect. You nailed that one at 170 with 1 minute to go in this block. Block number 4. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Heart rate. Beautiful.
Throughout his professional career, Dungey has trained by himself and is widely regarded as one of the most physically fit riders in the world.
Dungey, you can't count him out. You know he's going to be strong all race long.
But in preparation for the 2014 Supercross season, he hired Rob Beams, a widely used amateur performance coach, to organize his training program.
We've got a 20-minute. We're not doing this just to break a good sweat. All right, we're going to get some raw data. Let's rock and rumble.
Right now, Rob is conducting a test to find Dungey's maximum heart rate, a figure that will be used to judge his current physical condition and to monitor his monthly progress.
Everybody else is slowing down, going backwards. You're going fast because you can. You train to do this. We finished stronger than we started. Come on, buddy. I do a lot of work with young athletes in all different sports. When I mentioned to them that we work with Supercross riders, they don't think there's any fitness associated with Supercross. And I always say to them, it is absolutely the most difficult sport on the face of the earth. Relax, relax and go fast. Relax and go fast. This is not painful. This is fun. 15 seconds, Rock. Calm the noise. Think about the championship.
The last 3 years have been good, but 2010 was the last time I won that Supercross championship, and I feel like I have everything in me to do it again. Yeah, I had to hire a trainer. It's not really my usual thing, but it's still going to be up to me at the end of the day, no matter how fit I am.
Keep pedaling. We'll see where your heart rate's at 30 seconds and 60 seconds to see what your aerobic recovery is. The sport is elevated to the point where the importance of a human performance program has become instrumental to getting to that top 1%. And I think it's the last piece of the puzzle for Ryan. How many hours of sleep did you get last night?
Probably 8.5, 9.
Color of urine?
Probably a little yellow, but clear.
What was your evening weight last night?
I didn't check it.
You do ice cream before bed last night?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think you've got in you?
Hopefully,
Hopefully?
141.
You say hopefully?
No, gotta be.
There is no hope in this. There is no accidental success. When somebody says they hope to do something, that's more of a fear-based comment, like maybe I can, maybe I can't. And what we always like to say is that your success cannot be accidental. I don't deal in a world of emotions. I live in a world of zeros and ones. You're either getting fitter and faster or you're not. Max on the rower, Max on the bicycle. So if you were to ambiguously just choose 220 minus your age, they would tell you that your max heart rate's around 197. That's what runs you into overtraining. You would be trying to hit a number that's realistically unattainable. This is what keeps us from running into Epstein-Barr chronic fatigue syndrome.
While Beams and Dungey's task is nothing short of dethroning one of the greatest names to ever race Supercross, Dungey has shown the tools necessary to beat Villopoto on more than one occasion. The most recent example came last year at Dungey's hometown race in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I was like, dude, forget we're in Minneapolis. Like, this is just another race. Let's go. We'll try to win. And it's one of those days, just things were spot on. And I don't know what it was, but there was Villopoto. I made the passes happen quick to get into second. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to let this guy away.
Look how close Dungey is now. He is closing up, and the fans are loving it.
It was one of the best races of the season for me. The crowd is amazing. And it was a race when Ryan believed that he can do it.
Side by side, they're banging in Minnesota. Bar to bar through the rhythm section. He takes him high, almost to a dead stop. And Dungey leads him out.
We were able to make the pass 2 laps to go, and I dropped the hammer even more. And it was the only time that I was able to catch Villopoto, pass him, and beat him. I've been able to do that a couple times in my career, but he knows nowadays that if I'm 2 seconds behind him, he ain't gonna let me sneak up on him anymore. I can see that in him. He don't like that.
He surprises me sometimes, but I do think that I know what I'll get out of him. If I show up ready, have put the work in, that I have one of the best shots at beating him.
I wish we could have done that more often throughout the year, but there's just so many other races. I just fought so many things, not myself, but with the bike, you know, I felt like I was able to show my skills, my talent, and everything. I was like, that's me, you know, that's who I am. That's how I know how to ride.
So when we're testing with him, if we know he's got a low red blood cell count, and that's an indication that we need to pay attention to what's going on with his breathing and the delivery of oxygen to the muscles.
Start, sprint, breathe. Could be a quick race.
The most common and dangerous sentiment in the mind of a racer is doubt.
Who's gonna get the whole shot?
Clint Friesen, the head of strength and conditioning at the Millsaps training facility, has made it his priority to eliminate every physical unknown for the athletes under his care. He is currently testing the lungs, muscles, and heart of aspiring pro Jordan Smith.
You can't just look at an athlete and say, I think you need to get stronger. I think that your heart is weak, or maybe you're not breathing well. How do we know? You have to be able to put a number with what you're seeing on the track, and that number better be indicative of why they can't go faster. We're looking at heart rate, which is how fast it's beating. We're looking at stroke volume, which is in the yellow. With this green one, you get cardiac output, which is basically like horsepower. That's where we can tell if an athlete has a weakness.
However excessive a full-time training program, breathing exercises, muscle monitors, and electrocardiograms may seem from the age 11 to 17, the proper amount of preparation is determined by competition, not morality.
Come on now, move in there, keep pushing.
When you get through them, you should not have to touch your brake.
Jordan spent most of his amateur career losing to Adam Cianciarulo and trying to follow the example of Justin Barcia. Cianciarulo is currently training with Alden Baker and Ryan Villapoto, the sport's most accomplished trainer and the reigning 3-time Supercross champion.
Come on, push it. Let's go, let's go.
Too much brake around here. Get your foot off that thing here. I'm standing right there.
It's crazy. It's way too much for any sport, and it does take a little bit of the fun out of it. But it's the way it goes. You know, I didn't make the rules. I wasn't the one that said, let's put it to this area where everybody has to be perfect from the time you're a little kid on up. Guys like Barcia have been doing this from the time they're a little kid. I think if you don't do it, you're not going to win. Every generation has recreated the game, and now we have guys like Villapoto who have put it up to a place where it's going to be hard for anybody to catch.
Try and relax a little bit more on things, not to be so. And then you slid it this way, and you hung it this way, weed back this way. All this extra, I mean, I stand here, look, I feel tired just watching it.
Oh man, that's a bummer that you feel tired.
I know, dude.
In terms of Supercross championships, Ryan Villapoto and Alden Baker have had a perfect relationship. But as in any ongoing alliance, future success will depend on dynamics of power and respect. Villapoto is entering the 2014 Supercross season, poised to win an unprecedented 4 straight Supercross titles. A fact that leaves Baker fighting to stop the onslaught of complacency.
Well, I brought Kenny in for specific reasons. Ryan is at the stage in his career where, as much as I can critique him on the track and say, hey, you know, you need to be quicker in the whoops there, you need to be quicker here, the turns, he can sit back and say, yeah, but I'm winning, I've got that covered. You need a pushing factor, and I couldn't wish for anyone better. It looks like it's working for you because you're getting over, it's beating him up.
A native of Germany, Ken Roczen won the 2011 MX2 World Championship in Europe at the age of 17. Roczen came to the United States to race Monster Energy Supercross in 2012 and won the West Coast 250 Supercross Championship last year. Even as an incoming rookie in the 450 class in 2014, many believe it will not take long for Roczen to win.
All of a sudden he said, I'm going to go to Alden, you know? Well, first I was surprised that Alden and Villapoto were okay with that.
It is risky because he has a lot of talent, but I think I have the upper hand in the situation.
Every time we come to the track, I feel like my legs are weak, you know?
We're out before we get here out.
Yeah. I feel fatigue in my legs.
Unlike Cianciarulo and Roczen, This is Villapoto's 4th year enduring Alden's preseason boot camp, a period during the months of October, November, and December when riders are required to spend hours in the gym, on the road bike, and on the track 6 days a week.
You can lose a lot of time is getting too high up in the berm.
Because the lower you go, the harder it is on your legs, and like, you know, it takes more energy, and I'm already like kind of shaky.
It's called lazy.
Yeah, lazy.
It is not about going out anymore when you want to, or when you think about it, oh yeah, you know, let's go ride a little bit. Every time we go out, it's work.
If you get put into a situation where you are tired or you are beat up and you have to go race on Saturday night, what, are you just not gonna show up?
It bothers me and it annoys me so much to get up in the morning and do the bike ride and then go ride and then go gym after and do this and do that. But when I don't do it, I feel like something's missing. I would say it's kind of like having a girlfriend or a wife. In general, a woman, you can't live with them, but not without him. You know, it's kind of the same way.
So same thing as last time? Yeah. Oh! Come on, K-Rock, straight to it, man. 2 movements. Come up first, then pause, and then go shoulder raise. There we go.
The bottom line is in this sport, you're only as good as your last race, and they will forget you as soon as that gate drops and you're not on it, or you have a bad race. And there's a whole line of guys behind you that can fill your spot.
What happened to 2 separate motions? It's just one. It's like a chicken trying to fly.
It's called coordination. It's something you don't have yet.
In Supercross, the extreme price of greatness often casts doubt on the rewards. 3-time Supercross champion Ryan Villapoto, Premier Class rookie Ken Roxon, and 250 Class rookie Adam Ceen Cirillo are trying to survive Alden Baker's preseason boot camp. While incessant training is required in order to be successful in Supercross, it guarantees nothing. Last year, Villapoto endured Alden's boot camp, only to crash out at the Monster Energy Cup and crash 3 times at the season opener in Anaheim.
Villapoto alongside of Stu. Oh, he goes down again! Ryan Villapoto!
It was rough for Ryan. Mentally, he was damaged after that race because he felt like he kept trying to push and he rode bad and made mistakes. He didn't recover after that first week. And he had some results that were real unfamiliar to him.
Although Villapoto won the 2nd round at Anaheim and at round 4 in Oakland, he finished outside the top 5 at the next 2 races and was 27 points behind series leader Davey Millsaps after round 6 in San Diego.
Oh, he's down into Brayton. Villapoto got stuck in there. There's Chisholm. Next up is Lemoyne. Where is Villapoto? Here he is in 14th.
San Diego was rock bottom. After San Diego, he almost didn't want to do this anymore. It's ugly when you wake up and you're looking at the guys that are ahead of you in the points, and you got Dungey up there and all those guys that are consistent, and you're just going, wow, we have a big hole to dig out of.
I'm not gonna put myself at risk. I'm not gonna put the work in that I'm doing and going out there and getting those type of finishes. So you think it's sometimes easier to go do something else.
For Ryan, there's no 5th place. That's not okay. Like, he wants to win. After those losses in the beginning, he took a step back and he wanted myself and Eldon and everyone around him to be okay with him getting 2nd or 3rd. And I think it was more of him telling us that so that he could be okay with getting a 2nd or 3rd.
After San Diego, Villapoto won the following weekend in Dallas, a victory that jump-started the best series of results in his career.
And the 4th win of the year for Ryan Villapoto.
He would not finish worse than 2nd the rest of the season, winning 8 out of 11 races.
Checkered flag, and Ryan Villapoto lights the candles again.
When it comes to Ryan, it's just determination. He just has it built in, and it's more than anybody I've ever worked with or seen. Even when he's at rock bottom, he finds a way.
And Ryan Villapoto wins his 3rd championship in a row. Woo! It's over, buddy.
Man, it was a great season. It was actually his most wins he's had in the season.
Although it was Villapoto's 3rd straight title, it was his first Premier Class championship with his father, mother, brother, and sister reintegrated into his personal life. The story of his rise to the pinnacle of the sport, as well as his family's ongoing reconciliation, was depicted in a CBS Sports Spectacular last January.
I can't sit here and say I've watched the whole thing. You know, I guess you could say, a little hard to watch, you know. It'll never be the same type of deal. It'll always be a work in progress. As anybody knows that has close family like I grew up, there's always problems. It's work. Any relationship is work. But, you know, it's definitely better, and it's probably the best it's been. Whenever he gets the chance to come out and watch me ride, he does. You know, it's good to have him around. He's, you know, a help on one hand, and on the other, it's just nice to have him around, just being there.
Villopoto's story is in many ways the norm among elite Supercross racers. After training with his father from the time he was 3, Roczen's decision to train with Alden in Florida has cost him his father's company.
I definitely miss the time with Pops. We honestly have some problems right now. Me deciding to go to Alden. It's your dad. When you look at him as your trainer, it worked for a long time and it worked great. But at one point, I lost respect a little bit.
Many times he showed that he needed to be fitter and have more endurance. And he always worked out with his dad, and we put pressure on him that he needed to work harder and be more disciplined and more organized.
I let him know, but I never really told him what I was feeling, which that was a huge mistake, and I actually really wish I could go back to when I was in Germany and actually really talk to him about it. I can't rewind and change it, so I have to deal with it now. I actually haven't talked to him since I've been in Germany, and it's hard.
She's already burning. 7 seconds in. You move your legs a lot on the bike. A lot of times you're going through rollers and stuff and just sitting like this, and just helps leg strength. It never stops, never gets better. However long you do it. You gonna cry, Bartosz? You gonna cry, Bartosz?
Jordan Smith is preparing for the 2013 Monster Energy Cup at the Millsaps training facility in Cairo, Georgia. The race will be just the second Supercross-style event that the 17-year-old amateur has raced. For Jordan, his parents, trainers, and Team Geico Honda, it will serve as a substantial factor in determining if he is ready to turn pro in 2014.
Anytime you can get a guy that's not racing pro on the track with the pros and have some sort of comparison, gives a kid an idea where he's at. Get him out there, see him in comparison, get the lap times. That's the cool part of that race for me, because you could walk away from that race going, man, he's ready, or you can say, well, a couple things that you can work on.
It's hard to say when a rider's ready. He can feel it. The people that are around him, his trainers, his coaches, his family, his team, they can see it, they know it. But the problem is, once you start, it is too late to turn back. If you come out your rookie year and you're swinging for the fences and you come up short, you can't even make the first base, they write you off.
Every year, teams like Pro Circuit, KTM, and Geico Honda bring in a fresh group of amateurs to race 250 Supercross. Last year, 18-year-old Zach Bell was leading the qualifying race at his first pro competition when he suffered the most dramatic crash of the season.
Oh, they're right over the bars! Oh, that was huge!
We all know what's on the line and what can happen. You see the highlight reels, you see the clips. If he's not ready to race and you put him out there and he gets hurt, I don't want to be responsible for getting someone, into a bad accident.
We've talked about how it's better to have a short, successful career than a long, unsuccessful career. When he reaches that right maturity, physically, mentally, can handle everything that comes with it, then we're ready for him to go pro, but not before.
Smith has been working daily with Colleen Millsaps, Brian Johnson, and Clint Friesen at the Millsaps training facility since he was 11 years old. For the first 2 years, Jordan's mother Amy and brother Carson lived with him, while his brother Hunter lived with his father Chuck at the family home 9 hours away in North Carolina. The financial strain of Jordan's racing program eventually forced Amy to get a full-time job as well, leaving Jordan to live by himself in this camper for the last 4 years.
It's definitely tough on the family financially. Other kids would have these super mod bikes that were really fast, and Jordan's racing them out on a stock bike trying to compete with them. And, I feel bad as a dad for not being able to give him more. All I can tell people that want to get into this sport, it's going to be a financial hardship. And if the whole family's not 100% on board, get out, find something else to do.
I mean, there were times at MTF when we were first there, like all the guys are going to Chick-fil-A. Like, Jordan, I don't have $5 to give you to go to Chick-fil-A. We have this budgeted, we already went to the grocery store. Dad and the other two are at home, they're on a budget. Like, we just don't have the $5 for you to go. Eventually, I had to get a job, and so I came back, and that's when we had to leave Jordan by himself. It was really hard. It tears you because you want to be with him and you want to be with the other two. You have a kid, he's 14 and he's staying by himself. It really does make it feel like that he had to grow up really fast. He just realized himself, like, if I want to do this, then I have to work hard. I'm going to have to make a name for myself.
It's hard for my parents. We were having to pay for all my stuff. I could just see them struggling, but they kept behind me, and I just took that, just told myself, I'm going to make sure I give 100% every time I go on the track. 100%. This isn't just one race or anything like that. This is what I've lived my whole life for. And as a kid, you want to line up at a Supercross race, ride out into the opening ceremonies with the lasers going everywhere and them announcing your name in the deep voice, your number, where you're from. That's where you dream of as a kid.
Ryan Villapoto, Ken Roxon, Ryan Dungey, and Jordan Smith are preparing for the 2013 Monster Energy Cup. Unlike the others, 17-year-old Smith will be racing in the Amateur All-Stars division. Because he will be racing on the same track as the pros, it is an opportunity for him, his team, and his parents to compare his speed with the sport's elite riders and decide if he is ready to turn pro in 2014.
I'm working on being a Supercrosser. Last year was the first year I really got to ride a pro Supercross, and every night I would get done riding and I would just lay in bed and like, man, do I really have what it takes to do this?
For the past few months, Jordan has been preparing for this day at the Millsaps training facility in Cairo, Georgia, often training with Colleen Millsaps and former pro Brian Johnson.
So if you have a plan, you go out there, you're going to do 2 laps no matter what. When you make a mistake, you finish it.
Unlike other amateur races, Smith must set a lap time fast enough to qualify for the Amateur All-Star race in one of the 2 10-minute practice sessions. A rider's qualifying lap time not only allows him to participate in the race, but the fastest riders are given the first choices on the starting gate.
Gate position is going to be huge because there's going to be 1 or 2 gates on both sides, whatever side you start on, that are going to be really good, that are going to have good dirt, and that are going to make your start that much easier. And without a good start, you're pretty much screwed. Somebody like Jordan, he's got a lot riding on these next 2 years to make or break him. He comes in there and makes an impact. He's worth $500,000 a year more, just like that, just from one ride.
All part of the spectacle that is the Monster Energy Cup as we get ready to go racing.
The Monster Energy Cup is a great race for the Amateur All-Stars to show the industry what they have on Supercross. The lights are on, the jumps are bigger than anything they've seen. This is where you show the industry, can I handle this pressure or can I not?
Your average dirt bike rider rides tons of motocross tracks, goes in the woods or whatever, but not many of them make it onto a pro Supercross track. You have to be perfect, or else you're going down and you're going to hit the deck hard.
Into the stadium for the first time, here they come! This is the Monster Energy Cup from Sam Boyd Stadium.
These guys feeling the nerves, they're banging bars out there.
In the first lap of the Amateur All-Star race, the inexperience of the amateurs on a Supercross-style track was apparent, as 2 severe crashes left several riders on the ground.
Oh, he's going to come up short.
Way short. Man, and he just gets ejected off the bike. Wow. And then watch out right there, he gets hit.
Jordan Smith was able to avoid the attrition around him, work his way into second place by lap 2, and steadily gain on the leader as the race neared its final lap.
There you go. Get going, get going, get going. Yeah, go.
Jordan Smith, 17-year-old from Belmont, North Carolina.
Here we go, guys. He has definitely picked up the pace and the intensity here on these flat turns. He's making some moves, but a little less than half a lap left here.
He did it. He did it.
Here comes Jordan Smith. Let's see if he can give Hampshire a run here on this last lap.
Go, buddy, go. Go, get that.
Crowd getting into it, getting on their feet. Here they go. Oh, it's big time out of shame.
Come on, buddy, get up, get up, get up.
Oh,
Guys,
he gave it everything he had.
He's lucky. Yeah. Come on, buddy. He was going for it, though.
Hey, that was awesome. You got that step on, didn't you? Step off. Dude, I saw you go in that turn. I was like, nah, he won't try, will he? Up on top, I was like, that's cool.
I heard the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was watching you guys.
I'll always stand behind him. If he makes that charge to try to win a moto and it don't work out, in my eyes, he still made a good choice because it's easier to slow a kid down than it is to make him hungry for that next position.
For the riders in the Premier class, the Monster Energy Cup differs from a typical Supercross race for 4 main reasons. It consists of 10 laps instead of 20. There are 3 main events rather than 1. There's a technical section on the track known as the Joker Lane, which each rider must pass through at least once per main event. And the overall race winner takes home $100,000, or $1 million, if he wins all 3 main events.
Hey, let's be calm and let's roll. Let's do everything we practice, okay?
Main event number 1 for the Monster Energy Cup. Who's going to get the whole shot? Dungey trying to get there. Villapoto right with him. Villapoto gets the first whole shot.
The first main event seemed to be following the script that most fans were expecting, when defending champion Ryan Villapoto took the lead on lap 1, and was followed closely by Ryan Dungey throughout the race. But on the final lap, Villapoto took the Joker Lane, and Dungey did not, leaving Dungey with a 5-position penalty, no shot at the $1 million, and little hope for the overall win.
It's over. That was the checkered flag. It is? Yeah, it's over. He didn't do it. Ryan messed it up too because he didn't do it. Roger, how he can forget it? I put in every freaking lap.
He had just asked me, well, what happened? And I said, well, I took the Joker Lane. And then that's obviously when it set in that he missed it.
I didn't see the pit board. We're coming into that corner so fast. I never saw a Joker Lane.
He's not going to take this $1 million. No. Okay? I don't care what happened. We can't fix it, Ryan. It's done, it's done. Now we got to go and do it right again and beat him.
That was a brain fade on my part, but I never seen him so mad.
The riding was good, the start was good, everything was good.
Yeah, nothing we can do now, you know?
Best lap time and Villa's best lap time the same.
That's what I mean.
That's good.
Yeah.
On top of having the highest potential prize purse in the sport, the Monster Energy Cup will be a racer's last living memory of their competition, while they spend 2 months preparing for the Supercross season. 2-time Supercross champion James Stewart, as well as last year's event winner Justin Barcia, and incoming rookie Ken Roxon, were also aiming to carry the momentum of a win over Villapoto into their preseason training.
Let's focus on our start right now. We need to get out of this good and make sure we shift quick, okay?
Can he get another whole shot? The whole shot will go to Stewart. Now, Villapoto has to win this. Stewart on that yellow Suzuki number 7.
After beginning his Premier Class career by winning 20 out of 33 main events, Stewart has only won 3 races in the last 2 years. But when James jumped a rhythm section on lap 2 that no one had previously attempted all day, it appeared as if the magic had suddenly returned to the man known as the world's fastest rider.
He's right on him.
Watch how fast Villapoto is through this turn.
Oh, he's right in front of him. It takes the lead.
Okay, now this is what James Stewart is really good at, countering back.
Inside of the end zone launch. Great move by Stewart. Look at the move by Villapoto to the inside of James. Right there on the throttle. Stewart trying to mount an attack.
You know James doesn't want Villapoto to have a chance at that $1 million.
Oh, look at the move there. When do you go for the Joker Lane? Stewart, will they get in? Yes. Oh! Villapoto missed it! Villapoto missed the Joker lane! It has been the craziest night here in Vegas! Oh, they're right over the bars! What a huge crash for Ryan Villapoto!
After winning the first main event at the Monster Energy Cup, Ryan Villapoto started the second main event behind James Stewart. They would trade positions 3 times during the race, but Stewart held the lead on the final lap, and neither rider had taken the Joker lane.
Stewart, will they get in? Yes. Oh! Villapoto missed it! Villapoto missed the Joker lane! It has been the craziest night here in Vegas!
Hit you in the gut when you see him laying there not moving. Just for his sake, I mean, I don't want to see the guy in pain anymore or have any broken bones. He's had some of the worst injuries out here. He still has 5 plates and 47 screws in his leg.
That's probably one of the hardest dirts to hit the ground on. It's pretty packed tight, so definitely was sore for a week or so after that one.
Villapoto suffered a concussion and hairline wrist fracture in the crash, and would not return for the third main event. As he was being carted off the track, Jordan Smith was sitting on the starting line, preparing for the second Amateur All-Stars race, after a brutal crash of his own. It would be Jordan's final opportunity to show the industry his talents on a Supercross track, before making the decision whether or not to turn pro in 2014.
This is going to be the 457, getting the whole shot. Smith right behind him. Here he comes, up the inside. We've got a new leader, Jordan Smith.
Jordan took the lead on lap 2, began jumping a rhythm section that no other rider on a 250 was attempting, and rode away from the pack for the win.
Smith with a little bit of redemption.
That's where you belong. Thank you. God bless you, guys. Thanks, guys.
We're looking at Jordan as, whenever he's ready to go pro, we'll take him. We look to Jordan as having a really high potential. He's got really good speed and he's aggressive. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Barsha.
In the final Premier Class main event, Ken Roczen started in the lead, but would eventually fall to the resurgent James Stewart. Stewart took the overall win for the night. Ryan Dungey finished 1 point behind him in second. And in his rookie debut, Ken Roczen stood on the podium in third.
I just came back from Europe. I've been on the 450 3 to 4 times. Being on the podium in the end of the day, getting out of there healthy, I think it was a good thing.
Ryan has always been the main rider in the team. I'm sure Ryan will be a little bit threatened or pressured with Ken coming up, and Ken's going to do well, I'm sure of it.
Going into the races, I have a total different mindset. I don't care if it's the first year or whatever. I want to go out there and win.
In the 80s with Honda, we had Ricky Johnson, we had Stanton, we had Bale. They're all 3 potential winners. It was stressful and difficult, but it's a good problem to have. I hope I get that problem next year.
We went to Monster Cup with a lot of questions as far as when his pro debut was going to be, and that was going to be one of the signs to point us in the right direction. We would started talking about looking ahead and going pro in 2014 possibly.
A month after his third-place overall finish at the Monster Energy Cup Amateur All-Stars race, Jordan entered the Mini Olympics in Florida to compete in one of his final races as an amateur.
I was sitting in my office at work that day watching Jordan's race online through live time, and lap 3 goes by and Jordan's working his way up through the field, and lap 4 comes around, no Jordan. He's dropping to the bottom. Lap 5, no Jordan. Lap 6, 7. I text Amy and I just text her what happened. And just mere seconds later, I get the text back, broke femur. As a parent, it just You don't want to believe it, you know? You just don't want to believe that that happened. It's not your kid that's laying there with a broke femur, especially when you're not there.
As soon as I hit, I knew that my femur was broken. Just kind of like in shock, like, did that really just happen? That's like one of your worst fears. It's the biggest bone in your body. I'm just laying there, I can't move my leg, it's hurting. And see the races going on behind you and everything. The last 2 weeks, I've just been trying like more and more to bend my knee farther. A little bit more pressure on it, just anything I can do to try and get back as soon as I can.
We ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing? We hear people talk about, oh, I could never let my kid do that, on and on and on, but when you looked at his face and saw how happy he was and how much he enjoyed what he was doing, we knew we were doing the right thing.
As a parent, it may be natural to try to keep your kid from life's dangers until they are 18 and outside of your responsibility. But if your child dreams of becoming a Supercross racer, 18 will be far too late. Champions like Davey Millsaps, Kevin Windham, Trey Kennard, and Ryan Villapoto have all suffered severe leg bone fractures, recovered, and won. Perhaps Jordan Smith is better off with 2 screws in his femur than he would be if he was healthy and without his dream.
It's good to be home for sure and spend time with my family, but I would rather be riding and training. Seeing everyone, you just feel like they're just going like this away from you whenever you're sitting on the couch and can't do anything, but it's just a challenge.
Come on, that #1 plate's way worth all this pain. Way worth all this pain. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Either we're a little bit dumb or we have the ability to forget very easily, because we can have the biggest crashes and everybody's seen them, and the next race you're back on it and you go win. That is a very special, special person.
Everyone goes, man, how do you get addicted to pain pills? But when you get that deep into injuries and that many times, and you don't have a choice but to take them. I had lunch one day and just burst out, crying like I don't know if I want to continue to do it. Like, why do I want to keep doing this to myself?
One of his injuries when he was 12 or 13, I'm done. I'm never going to ride again. I'm going to mechanic for Tommy, and I'm done. It takes about 2 weeks. And we're back. I need to ride.
Checkered flag awaits. Will Will Hahn get there? He's done it. Yes. He has won.
I think it's a deep-rooted desire to conquer something that not many people would try or would think that was possible.
The hardest decision I've ever made was to walk away from racing. Like, I wrote this diary when I was a little kid, and it just said in there, one day I'm going to move to California, win a Supercross, and have a nice house and a nice car, and all this was my dream.
Every professional, every businessman, at some point they've gone all in. I'm glad I hit that jump to this day because A, I proved that I could, and B, that I was bad enough to take that risk to win it all.
The second episode of 5 Supercross CBS Sports Spectaculars airs on February 16th. Dean Wilson, Eli Tomac, Jake Weimer, and Will Hahn join the cast as the 2014 Supercross season begins at Round 1 in Anaheim and Round 2 in Phoenix.